Let's look at Marilyn Monroe. Let's do her first. Let's look at Marilyn here. And if you look again, right here, right, um, she's Cancer ascendant, right? Got Moon in the 7th. Of course, that Moon aspecting back to the ascendant makes her attractive. Venus in the 10th also gives her the beauty, right? Um, and believe it or not, Saturn aspecting Venus, and Saturn's exalted. So Venus is the tenet of Venus' sign is exalted, aspecting back to her own, back into its Lord. So that also shows Saturn aspecting Venus many times will make a woman attractive, believe it or not, because Saturn structures right the Venus. It gives right uh, uh, depth and symmetry to the Venus. So looking in her chart, and brother, can you pull up the D8 as well? And you grab the D8.
There we go. Hold up. Is that the right one?
There's going to be Vargas 3. There's the D8. So there's our D1. Do you know how to, if you go back to the main screen, go back to her regular chart.
Mm-hmm.
Go up. Back to her regular. Just bring up the big chart.
It's a lag.
Yeah, it's a lag.
Yeah. It's about to pop up. Okay.
Go to the D9. Hover over it.
Mm-hmm.
Blanket. Hit right click.
Okay, I got you.
Blanket, and then pull up the D8. So in her D8, you'll see that the sun is exalted in the 8th. So it empowers sudden death. Right? There it is. D8. Accidents.
Slagging.
Yeah, it's all good. So here's the thing, right? There's a symbiotic relationship between the D1 and the D8. The D1, the Rossi, the main chart, there it is, right? There it is, perfect. So the Rossi chart, right? When we look at D charts, when we look at Varga charts, harmonics, we want to interface it. You can use the D8 as a chart, right? To see a whole context and a holistic purview of the whole situation with regards to accidents and sudden events. But the one key thing that you always do is match the house that you're looking at, right? Meaning that if you're looking at a D8 chart, you're looking at the 8th house harmonic or the 8th house. So you go to that house first, right? When you go to that house first, you're looking at the sun exalted in Aries. So what does that do? You would think that it would be empower her to have longevity. No, that's in the first. That's in the D1. In the D8, the 8th house becomes the actual ambassador or the emissary or the kind of go-to or the person, the thing that carries out the sudden events. Right? Is
Mm-hmm.
the 8th house in the D8 chart? Well, if you look, it's number one exalted, so it's empowered. It's given full reign to give sudden events. Not only that, the Lord of the D8 goes to the 8th house in the D1. So now the D8 is empowered to do damage in the D1. Well, if you look at the D1's 8th Lord, it goes into Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars in the D8. So
Mm-hmm.
again, still further impacting, right? And not only that, when you look at the sign of her ascendant in the D8, Mars is conjuncted, right? So Mars is leaning every which way into her 8th house and connecting to her ascendant. Remember, I said the ascendant Lord has to have some bond or connection. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
moon in her Rossi chart is in Dahanishta, which is ruled by Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, she was known for depression, right, and they try to use that to try to segue a drug habit that took her out. But you can clearly see this is not self inflicted. Right, the third house is the house of hands. Right, it's ruled by Mercury. Right, Mercury is aspected by Mars, but Mercury itself is also conjunct the Sun, which usually gives that person a lot of control, right, over that particular house, meaning that the Sun is conjunct Mercury. The Sun empowers, enlightens, gives insight to whatever planet it conjuncts. So this person would not be an individual that would commit suicide, right? Just not going to happen. This person was murdered, right? Beyond a doubt. Um, the other thing is Jupiter is there, right? And
Yeah.
Jupiter rules the sixth house, and it rules the ninth. So the ninth, the Lord of the ninth, is in the 12th from itself, which loses the protection that the ninth house can provide, and it empowers the sixth house aspect of Jupiter in the chart. So now
Mm.
enemies have come, right? And K2 being there also considers Jupiter be empowered to do sudden things. And Jupiter is in Dahanishta.
Mm-hmm.
Mars ruled. Mars is in Purvabhadra, which is Jupiter ruled. So they both have a very close connection to creating sudden, unexpected events.
Yeah.
And if we look at the Dasha, let's check to see when she passed. Right?
You got the year exactly when she
It's
transitioned?
1965, I believe.
Okay. What month?
I think I want to say she passed in August of 62.
August of 62. All right. So yeah,
Mhm.
that looks definitely about right. Boom.
So we
Mm,
should be in a Jupiter
boom.
Mars Dasha. There it is.
Yep.
19 June 26th. She just entered her Jupiter Mars Dasha. And isn't it something that Jupiter Mars is in the eighth house?
Hmm.
So the Dasha that she checked out in, or they checked her out in, is identical to the two planets that reside in the eighth house. Jupiter ruling again, ninth house, sixth house of enemies, 12th house of of, of higher knowledge, wisdom, right? Grace and protection. And it's lost in the eighth, conjunct Mars, right? Mars rules the fifth and the 10th, but at the same time, it's in the eighth, so it's empowered to do those things.
Yeah.
So again, showing clearly that the dasha period is the period that you can look to many times, about 8 times out of 10, to clearly see exactly what happened. And she was murdered, right? Without a doubt.
Hmm.
Without a doubt. Um, so that's one great example. And again, you can see the Ashtamsha, the D8 has Mars debilitated, right?
Hmm.
So one of the rules that we know about exaltations, which the sun is exalted in the eighth in the Ashtamsha, the ruler of that exalted planet has to be in a very good dignity, and it is debilitated in that particular position. So again, doesn't do very well,
Hmm.
opening the door for sudden violent events. Right,
Would you?
very
Would you?
unfortunate.
So I know you're probably going to twist this in at the end, but in regards to, the question of free will or not,
Hmm.
and you see that, Mars is driving in where it's positioned, do you think if, the type of men, that she, was drawn
Affiliated
to,
with. Hmm.
you know,
Well, let's say not the type. Let's say a man that she
hey
was
man.
affiliated with. Yeah. Because other than that, and when I say a man, they say that she actually was dating a couple of the Kennedys,
Mm-hmm.
but the one that took her out was, the one that they took out, and it makes sense because it's a loose end,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your
Mm-hmm.
bedroom, the boudoir, has all kind of secrets at the White House, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to their paramours, and so, you know, I'm sure, she probably had some information, if not just some, quite a bit on the dirt that was going on in the kidney's backyard.
Yeah.
So, by all means, she had to be removed. That would just be too much of a loose end.
Mm-hmm.
But,